What's up, everyone? Today we're going to be talking about the worst decision ever made in NBA history. This notorious mistake was made by a 6'3" point guard from Germany, Dennis Schroeder. Our timeline starts in the 2020-2021 season when Dennis Schroeder was putting up some very decent numbers for the Los Angeles Lakers. Schroeder showed some potential. One night against the Dallas Mavericks, Schroeder scored 25 points and dished out a season-high 13 assists. LA Lakers head coach Frank Vogel even labeled it as Schroeder's best performance of the season. Towards the end of the Lakers season, it was rumored that Dennis Schroeder was looking for a $100 million to $120 million contract that upcoming offseason. I mean, that's the max contract type of money. That's a very big ask for a guy only averaging 15.4 points per game, 5.8 assists, and 1.1 steals per game, and also only playing 32 minutes per game. Lakers season, though, didn't end according to plan. The Los Angeles Lakers finished as the 7th seed with a 42-30 record. The Lakers would be going up against the 2nd seed Phoenix Suns in the first round of the playoffs, and, well, let's just say that also didn't go according to plan. The Lakers lost to the Suns in 6 games. Now Dennis Schroeder becomes a restricted free agent for the first time in his career. Then during the offseason, some big news comes out saying multiple sources are confirming that the Lakers have offered Schroeder a 4-year contract extension worth up to $84 million. But Schroeder declined. I mean, this man could have been swimming in money, living in LA, and continue to be playing with one of the greatest players of all time, LeBron James. But he said no. After the season ends, free agency opens up and teams with a lot of money sign players right away. For example, the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls signed guys like Alex Caruso, Lonzo Ball, and DeMar DeRozan for tons of money. So the sad truth is, Schroeder wasn't going to be able to get the money that he wanted. So Schroeder said he was going to bet on himself in hopes that he would have a good season with the team so that he would get a lot of money in the next NBA offseason. So Schroeder signs with the Boston Celtics on a 1-year, $5.8 million deal. Such a downgrade for a guy who thought he was going to be able to get $120 million and only ends up with around $5 million. Dennis arrives in Boston and starts making vlogs on YouTube, and this is where everything starts to go downhill. Schroeder's game takes a minor step back. He averages 14.4 points per game, 4.2 assists, 0.8 steals, and 2.1 turnovers in a Boston Celtics uniform. This is where it gets really bad. Out of all the teams Dennis Schroeder has played for, such as the Atlanta Hawks, Oklahoma City Thunder, and Los Angeles Lakers, he decides to get a Boston Celtics tattoo on his leg. Now, this isn't a small tattoo. Just look at how big it is. Anyways, at the end of the trade deadline, a trade goes down between the Boston Celtics and the Houston Rockets. The Rockets trade Daniel Theis to the Celtics for a Dennis Schroeder package. The package includes point guard Dennis Schroeder, center Enes Kanter Freedom, and a backup big Bruno Fernando to the Houston Rockets. So Dennis packs his bag and heads to Houston to finish the 2021-2022 season. Houston, Dennis Schroeder only played 15 games and ended up only starting in 4 of those. Still, some people would say he took another step backwards. His points per game went down to 10.6. His assists went drastically up to 5.9 assists per game, almost the most assists per game in his career since when he was on the Atlanta Hawks back in 2016, when he averaged 6.3 assists per game. Schroeder also averaged 0.8 steals per game, same steal numbers as when he was on the Celtics, and 2.6 turnovers per game, which went up since when he was on the Celtics. Now, the big question is, Dennis is still only 28 years old, but is his time in the NBA slowly coming to an end?